Yeah, hi there. I'm going to just use the first initial of your first name, A, and you had a question, and let me put it right here. So you say, I've learned a lot today, and you're one of my students right now in my online course called the 7-Step System to Pass the TOEFL IBT, and you say, I'm currently in day 2. I have some questions regarding the writing. I'd like to know what is the best way to think of a strong thesis statement within a short time to begin my essay, and why is giving more examples better than giving more main ideas? All right, you got some good questions. All right, let's talk about the thesis first. So let's say you had this question. So the question might be, what is an important change that would make your country a better place to live? And the TOEFL will always say something like, give reasons and examples to support your point of view. Now, I'll talk about why they asked that in a minute. But the main thing here, let's focus on the thesis. Okay, so one of the easiest ways to create a strong thesis statement is to restate the question. So you might say, so you say a change that would improve my country or how about this? Let's say, so the change that would improve my country, that's restating, if you see here, which is part of the question, right? You see that? And you might say, let's say allocating more government money to hospitals is a change that will improve my country. So this kind of answers the question, right? Allocating more money to hospitals is a change that would improve my country. This part of the thesis actually restates the question. Now, the next thing is to give you even what's called a forecast statement. Is you're now putting down what's called the reasons. Then we have like this. Now what we've done is we have to kind of look at what we've done so far. Is if you jot down, and maybe I did this in the wrong order, it's probably better to you think about giving money to hospitals, right? Then you think about maybe 3 different reasons why that would be important. And once you have these specific reasons here, and if you have a statement like this, so allocating more government money to hospitals is a change that would improve my country, then you can create what's called a cause-effect type sentence. So it would. And now we're simply taking these different ideas. It would allow more patient access for treatment. So it would allow more patient allow more access for treatment. How about allow more access for treatment? It would improve medical research, and it would improve or it would provide, maybe. I think that's it. And that would be a way of creating a fairly sharply focused thesis. In this case, we're using because it would improve, and because it would provide, but I'm not repeating the word because each time. You could probably also say because it would allow more access for treatment, would improve medical research, and would provide better wages. So that's probably even a little bit more concise. Let's do that. The main thing is you have to be parallel, keep the grammar parallel. So because it would allow more access for treatment, would improve medical research, and would provide better wages for healthcare workers. So in this case, to give you just a general idea here, what we did is we created our thesis. At least part of the thesis was a restatement of the question. For example, what is an important change that would make your country a better place to live? You said, or I say here, allocating more government money to hospitals is a change that would improve my country. Instead of saying a better place, I said would improve my country. And then I state my reasons as part of my thesis. Because it would allow more access for treatment, would improve medical research, and would provide better wages for healthcare workers. Alrighty, you see what I'm saying? Now remember though, that you have all kinds of different independent writing topics on the TOEFL IBT, and you can't create a one-size-fits-all thesis. Right? I'm just giving you an example of how to create a thesis for this type of question. So you're trying to answer and argue a point. You could have a question like, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? And you could organize your thesis in a similar way. Now sometimes a TOEFL may say discuss both points of view, then indicate which position you agree with and why, and this thesis probably wouldn't work as well for that. You can probably set your thesis up where you simply mention that you will provide a discussion of both views, and then maybe in the final paragraph you can get to your own position. Alright? Now let's get to the next question. I think this is an important question. So you say, why is giving more examples better than giving more main ideas? I think the main thing here is when you're writing at the collegiate level, when you're doing academic writing, you want to show what's called depth and complexity of thought. So the only way you can show depth is to provide a main point and then support that with specific details. If you only give main ideas and you never give details for those ideas, you're not showing much depth. I mean, think of it this way. What if you have a friend and every time you talk to him, he only talks in general ways? For example, you say, how are you? He says, I'm fine. You say, so what are you going to be doing today? Oh, not much. You say, hey, did you like the movie? Yeah. So let's say you have this friend and the only thing he ever does is he answers you in very general terms, and he never really gives any specifics for any of the ideas that he talks about. How is that going to work in your relationship with him or her? Probably not very well, right? So the main thing is I think in writing, we really have what's called 3 coherent layers of meaning. And you should write, I think, in academic writing, you need to get at the 3 layers of meaning. It means, first of all, you should have a main point. Then you'll have a support point for that main point. And then you will have some details for that support point. So it kind of works like that. So we kind of want to get at those, what's called those 3 different layers of meaning. Now, going back to the thesis, we can see here that we have a thesis, right? We have what's called allocating more money to hospitals is a change that would improve my country because, and now we get into the 3 supporting points in the thesis, because it would allow more access to treatment. So now this becomes one of your body paragraphs, and the purpose of your examples is to show how the government money would provide more access maybe for the treatment of patients. You would need to give some examples to help support that support point. That makes your argument stronger and more believable. And then you maybe move on to body paragraph number 3. You might say, giving government money to hospitals would improve medical research. You might say, for example, if a country can allocate more money for research, then maybe doctors can do more research, for example, with stem cell research, and by doing that extensive research, they might be able to link using stem cells to finding cures for breast cancer. So by giving the detail of finding cures or using stem cell research as a way of finding cures for breast cancer, that's a good detail that helps support, I think, that point, and that makes the argument stronger in the writing. And it demonstrates what I call depth and complexity of thought. Then you get to your body paragraph number 4. You say, finally, giving government money to hospitals can provide better wages for healthcare workers. You can say workers such as nurses, doctors, pharmacists, and so on. These people work very, very hard for the money, and in many cases they don't get paid very well for their efforts. And if the government does allocate more money to hospitals, it means these hospitals could provide better wages for these workers. You see what I'm saying? So if you give examples of specific types of healthcare workers and why it's important for them to have a better wage, that would be an example to help support that support idea. Again, it makes the argument stronger in the writing. So to conclude this video, we've gone over, I've given you an idea of how you can make a strong thesis statement within a short time. And then I also answered the question about the importance of providing examples to support your main ideas. And one thing I didn't say too, now there's nothing wrong with main ideas. Main ideas are good. In fact, if you have details without main ideas, that can cause you trouble, because that means you don't have a good topical organization in your writing, right? Or main ideas without details is also not good. So the main thing is if you provide more main ideas, that means you have to provide more details for each of those ideas. But you got to ask yourself, if I'm doing the TOEFL independent speaking task and I'm trying to make some argument there, or I'm doing the TOEFL independent writing task, again I'm trying to make some argument, you want to make sure you don't give too many main points, because you're not going to have enough time to support all those main points. So I think it's not just giving more examples is more important than main ideas, it's making sure you limit your discussion of main ideas so that you have enough time to provide supporting examples for each of those main ideas. All right? Anyway, thank you very much for your questions, and keep up the good work.